Welcome back to 113 Racing. I'm Nate. I'll be your idiot for the day. I'm in this ridiculous getup because we're going to get some welding done today. So we're rocking the Bono's flannel and the two bigger pants. In the last episode, we got a pair of front legs that I'm happy with, and you're not even looking at them. They're up there. We got a pair of front legs that I'm happy with, and that one there I'm super happy with. It lines up perfectly, everything's great. This one here I had to try and make symmetrical. Does it have to be symmetrical? Not exactly. It's more a visual thing. And with symmetry, straightness level, that kind of thing, it is as much visual as it is measuring. So coming from, like a construction background, if you're building like a fence and the fence is level, but everything in the background is falling over and leaning, like if it's a crooked house and you put a straight post in front of it, your fence looks crooked, not the house in the background. Similar situation with this. If your car is not symmetrical or not built straight, you can have your cage as straight as anything and it's going to look crooked. For instance, if I'm covering like half of this hole with the main hoop, but then on this side the entire hole is exposed, regardless of whether this measures straight, it's going to look crooked. So you as much want to visually inspect everything for straightness, trueness, and symmetry as measure it. So looking at it from here, you can see this tube here needs to drop down a little bit. This one here needs to come out a little bit, which probably means that it just needs to twist a little. Probably want to put that clamp on it right there that's twisted it out of shape, but it fits up pretty well. If you remember when we bent this main hoop up, we didn't get the legs quite parallel. It twisted a bit in the bender on me. So I need to pull this leg out, and I can't do that until later on because I can't weld these feet on until later. So I need to get the top straight, make sure it's 100% perpendicular to the edges. So I'll just take a few more measurements and then we'll tack those bars in for good so they stop wobbling around on me, which would be fantastic. And then the next step is to do everything in the roof line of the vehicle, because we have to take these feet out from under it so that we can get a weld all the way around, because we can't get in behind that tube because it's hard up against the car. And then we're going to do the roof bar, which sits up there, and it's going to sit basically hard up against the roof. We can't get a weld there. I'm going to put a roof support in as well, which I can't get in around, so we need to drop these legs down, which will tilt the cage down like that, which doesn't give a hell of a lot of space, but it gives some space. And then we can weld up everything on the roof line of the car. Then we can lift it up, and then we can weld these in for good, because all the other bars are sort of accessible as such. I got a good tack on these guys now. By tack I mean a 1/3 weld, but you can see that I still have a lot of ability to move this around in 3D space. It's quite flexible. Even with a full weld, I can still move that. So I need to position this tube exactly where it wants to go now before I start measuring my next bars up. So what I'll probably do is probably put a 2mm packer in here, because I don't want it to touch that. I want it to be fairly close, or no, maybe I will just clamp that hard up against like that. I obviously need to make sure that I've got enough room in my desired position to get a weld in around the base, which I probably kind of want it more there like that. I think I can get the welder in there. Again, this is a lot of cage building is planning these welds out, so I need to sort of fire the torch in on that kind of angle on the back side. So I'll want to pull this leg with the base plate obviously attached in and get my weld in here. But then I can let it go with the base plate attached and it'll spring back out there, because for the base plate I can weld on this angle, which I can do from here and I can do from the back side and come back in like that. So so that's too close probably. So I do want it packed out a little bit. So if I just stick a 2mm packer in there and a clamp, that will hold that tube exactly where it's going to go, and we can continue measuring. Now, for this tube, it says it has to be at the roof line of the vehicle, which in my opinion, the roof line of the vehicle is everything from here up. So I can put it down here. I can put it up here, whatever. There is also a requirement when you're sitting in the car in the driver's seat that you're not blocking. I think it's 100 mil of the windscreen with any of your bars. Is like so you come down 100, in 100, up 100. That has to all be clear, and they're definitely going to miss that because I sit sort of down here, and if I have it there, I'm not going to cover any of the windscreen. I'm probably going to see this black band still. And reasons for putting it lower and not higher is because I'm also going to be running a pillar bar, and the pillar bar has to be within 100 mil of this point here, this intersection. So if I put it up here, my roof bar, then my pillar bar has to be here, which sort of covers a lot of my door opening. If my roof bar is here, I can move my pillar bar down to here, which gives me basically that much more door opening to swing my fat leg out of. So that is the reasoning for pushing it down as low as possible. It will also give me a more 45-degree triangulation on my roof, which is in theory stronger, but that's a ridiculous reason for doing it. The main reason is because I want more opening of my door, and there is actually a measurement, a minimum measurement for your door openings as well that I need to maintain. Although this car has a big door, and it's very easy to hit that measurement. The measurement's tiny. I think along the top here, I think it's like 300 or 400 mil, which is like that. That's including you can put a gusset bar in there. So that gusset bar there to your pillar bar has to be like 350 mil or something like that. I've got like 600, so I'm well clear of that. But yeah, read through your entire Schedule J before you start this, because there can be clauses in different parts of the schedule which conflict with what you're doing, and that's not ideal. All right, I'm going to film this intro one more time just to make sure that I got it all, and then we're going to get to work. Put the seat back in and jumped in and fiddled around with my string line. I set that to my low point. From this angle, it looks low. It looks like it's a long way down from the roof, but when you're in the car, it just covers the windscreen. I double checked the rules. I can come 100 mil down from the top, 100 mil radius in the corner, and 70 mil in from the side. I'm well outside of that. And this is the bottom of the tube. So I've marked, I don't know how well you can see, but I've actually drawn the outline of the tube in here. So it actually comes up like really close to this reinforcement piece here. So it's not actually that low. It just looks low because there's a lot of real estate up there. Yeah, and like I said, I played around with it a little bit. And the reason I moved it down like as low as possible, like I said, is because that's my 100 mil mark. You can't see it. It's there. It's just there. And when we sit this tube in here, which will be, well, not this one, but it'll be the pillar bar, and I'll try and get you guys as far away as I can. If I sit this up in here, that tube's going to sit somewhere there like that, which is not too bad. It's a pretty good angle. It's pretty vertical, so it's nice and strong, as opposed to, like I said, it being up here, which shortens up the gap between the seat and the bar. It also moves it on more of an angle. Like you want it to be more of an upright because it's holding the roof up. So moving it down there like that's beneficial. It also gives me a lot more room because it's going to get quite busy down near my feet. And I'm not as limber as I was, and I'm only getting older and fatter. So I want to push everything as far and as low as possible while still remaining as safe as possible. So I came up with this point here, ran the string across back down to the handbrake so that I could, work the tension from the seat. And then because we leveled the car before we started, all I had to do was put my my level on here and set the string up dead across. So I've done that. I've marked it on this end. I will also just do the whole, pretend draw the tube on that end so that I can get my top and bottom measurement. And then I've set up a dodgy demonstration over here. So, I bought myself one of these off AliExpress, so let's hope that works. So, I need to do triangulation, which is basic trigonometry, which I can't actually do the calculations, but there's any of calculators online. So as my tube runs out, basically it runs away from me like that. And I know that my tube's going to come off this way, like so. So I can come down 90 degrees and I need to know this angle here. So this distance here is the width of my tube, which is 36.1. I know that. And then if I measure across to the other side here and say this is 1200, and I measure across from here and say this is 1240, just nice even numbers. This here I know is 20 mil now, because it's basically half of the extra here. So I can go to any calculator online for triangles, punch in 36.1, 90 degrees, 20 mil, and it will spit out this angle here, which is probably around about the 12 degree mark. Then I can transfer this mark to my bender here, which should be, 12 degrees will be about there. And I can set the bender to 12 degrees. And then quite simply on your tube, there's two ways of doing it. You can also obviously use your that thing, or just use any old, like a block of wood here with a pen on it. Doesn't matter if it's the center of the tube or if it's 3/4 or it doesn't matter. As long as you use the same piece of wood on both sides, you can draw a line there and draw a line down here somewhere, like so, as long as the tube doesn't roll, obviously. And then I want my short measurement because of the direction that I'm notching. I want my short measurement, so in my 1200, and I'll mark 1200 here, bang, and 1200 here, bang, which will be the inside of my throat, which is the absolute shortest point of the tube. So I want my wings to come out past my 1200 mark, and then I can slip this in the bender this way. So my overhang goes in like that, and then my notch will go out. So this will be my short side, this will be my long side. And so I basically want the teeth of the hole saw to hit that X. So you can put it in the notcher, clamp it up tight, and turn this. And when you turn, obviously the teeth will make a scratch mark on it. And if it scratches that X, bang, I've got it. And then when I take this tube out, if I was to slide it through like that, obviously that's not going to work for me. My notch is going to be on the wrong side. So I need to take it out, flip it this way, put it back in, and then same thing with my X on that side. That's my short, and it'll come out of my long side. And I'll get, because it's 20 mil extra on the other side, I'll get my 1240 on the back. Hopefully that makes sense.
What is he babbling about?
Yeah, like I said, plenty of online calculator. I use calculator.net. It's the best. You just hit triangle, punch that in, and that should get me my tube perfect. Is there anything else that I need to tell you? No? Okay, let's do it. I think we're pretty good there. If it doesn't make sense, I'm sorry. Like I said, there's other roll cage tutorial videos out there. This is just the way that works for me. So hopefully it works for you too. Hopefully I can show you that, yeah, it's not hard. It's not rocket surgery. It's just time consuming. Speaking of time consuming, I had to actually take this tube here back out again and sort of grind a little bit off it because my notch didn't line up. So I was contacting here and here, like instead of the throat lining up in the middle, my throat was actually like, my throat was twisted like that. So I had to like grind here and here and move my throat around a little bit, which means that where my throat is now, I've got a gap. It's quite a decent gap. I'll have to weld that up. Reason for that is when I did this tube, I obviously had a lot of excess back here. And what I should have done was I should have cut it off close to where my minimum line was, laid the main hoop back, put the tube in, pushed the main hoop forward, physically marked the throat line on it. I didn't do that. I just laid it up against the other tube, worked out how far rotated that throat line was, eyeballed it to this tube. Again, is it a huge deal? No, but an extra 5 minutes worth of work would have saved me probably 10 minutes worth of screwing around. So yeah, take the time, measure things properly, double check them via a different method. So, you know, put the string in, put the seat in, jump in, work it out and go, yeah, okay, that's definitely where I want it. And then double check all your measurements before you go and make mistakes. Otherwise you end up with that and there's a few over there and that one over there. And yeah, it builds up. Just thought I'd bring you back in here for today's quick tip. It's about this time that you want to start rationing tubes. So presumably you've measured up the car and you've worked out approximately how much tube you need. Now, cut lists, if you've done any sort of woodwork or construction, you'll know that cut lists are important to try and minimize wastage. So I've gone around and I've quickly measured the car, and I know that my long door bars I need about 1350, my rear legs I need about 1200, my dash bars about 1250, and my diagonal brace is about 1600. So my roof bar is 925 on the long side, so I'm going to cut about 950 out of it. So with this length that I've got here, if I cut 950 out of it, that takes me to about here. That leaves me 1700. Now, if I was to take a 1200 door bar, or sorry, a 1200 rear leg out of this, I'm wasting about 400 mil of material, whereas the entire tube is like 2600. So I can get both of my 1250 rear legs out of this and only have like a tiny bit of waste, and then I can cut my 950 out of something else that works out. I've got another 2 sticks wrapped up over there. However, alternatively, I'm lucky enough that because my diagonal bar in this is about 1600, hopefully if I'm pretty conservative on my tube here, I should be able to make that work. So I'm going to notch right on the end of that. Then I'm going to work out my notch here, run that through there, and then I'm going to use the throat of that to be the short side of my diagonal, and hopefully that will work out. But yeah, so you kind of want to be starting to do cut lists. Otherwise, you'll end up with a lot of waste, like that piece over there, which is 905 mil, which is just a little bit too short for what I need. So, but I do need short pieces. So for instance, the other door bar is cut in half. I need little pieces there. I need little pieces on the pillar bar. But I can also, with a misbend like this, I can also get like 600 lengths out of it. Cut that up, just take the bends out of it. So I've got a lot of short lengths lying around. I don't need to be making any more. I need to minimize wastage. So yeah, quick tip. All right, we're starting down this end of the shed today because that's where my coffee is. And 4th takes for the intro, and free hats notwithstanding, we are way behind schedule because it took me till lunchtime to get motivated to get out here. And I didn't get anything done on the weekend because we bought a ridiculously cheap marketplace car for my daughter to drive to school and back, and I had to clean all the drugs and appointment cards for probie officers out of it, but that's not your fault. So we're continuing on the roll cage, obviously. Now, from this angle, I looked at that roof bar that we put in, and I don't like it. It just looks like it should be mounted up on that bend and not where it is. Is it any stronger structurally one way or another? I don't know, but it doesn't look as strong where it is. It doesn't look good where it is. Now, ruling states, that it can't cover more than 100 mil of the windscreen. And even from this angle here, which is not where I'm sitting, obviously, the tube is 38 mil and there's a sliver of light above it. So we're covering maximum like 50 mil of the windscreen. So from that point of view, we're good. And then the other one just states that these bars have to be attached at the roof level. And depending on what you call the roof level, like is this the roof level? If so, then, you know, it's attached, like it's above this point here, which is at the roof level. Rules are obviously open to interpretation, and it depends who's interpreting them on the day as to whether they're going to pass that or not. But regardless of all that, I don't like it. It doesn't look good from any angle. And the only reason I sat it that low was to move this pillar bar further forward. And I've mocked it up here with a bit of string, and I had the seat in and out and in and out, moved that around a few times, and I've realized it makes 9/10 of fuck all difference where I put it. Beat that out. So initially I had it sort of down here somewhere. I moved it back like 120 mil, and it did close this gap up a little bit, but there's still plenty of room between the wing and there to get my helmet through. And, you know, I'm probably going to hit my head on it, but I'm wearing a helmet anyway. And the only time I'm going to be getting out of the car with a helmet on is in an emergency anyway. Like, I always take my helmet off and get in and out of the car. New rules state that you do need to prove you can get out of the car in a certain time for scrutineering. So, you know, in those practice runs, it's a long time. It's like 30 seconds. It's a long time. So I just need to make sure that I sort of get my head out first gently. But anyway, like I said, it really is only, you know, 20, 30 mil difference between here and here. And down here, which is the main problem point for me, is trying to, you know, get my legs up and out. And that makes no difference down there where I move the top two, because it's so close to the fulcrum point. It's like 5-10 mil. It's nothing, and it's always going to be a struggle getting in and out of there. Yeah, so that long-winded wasn't even a discussion. That long-winded explanation of my stupidity basically means that I can put this bar wherever I want. So I'm going to cut the tacks on it, which is the reason it's only tacked in. I'm going to cut the tacks off it, and I'm going to move it to where it looks better, and then I'll come down just under my maximum 100 millimeters, and then I'll, you know. So that first. I've also had a look at the roof bars, and I'm still flip-flopping about putting them in or not. The one that I want to do, which is the rearward facing V, I had a look at it, and it actually needs like a counterpart on the other side, which means that it needs a forward facing V from where the rear legs attach, so from there to there and back again, and I don't want to do that. Visually, it doesn't look good. An X brace looks better if you're going to do anything in the back, and it's a lot of extra weight that I don't need. So I'll either have to go with a forward facing V, which I'm sort of swaying towards, or an X all the way across, which, you know, is double the tube, double the weight for really no benefit. Or I can do a single X, which is probably easier, but it always looks a bit, single X's always look a bit, how you going? I am going to only be doing a single bar across here. And that's just because, you know, I don't require a second bar, and it's a lot of bar, it's a lot of weight for no reason. So, and again, this, I don't need this. It's, you know, it's just an extra thing. Even these are just an extra thing. All I need is what I've got already. I need a single door bar, which goes from there to there, one door bar. And then I need the two rear legs, which go from there to there, and then a single crossbar in the main hoop. That's all I need from any category of racing that I'll be doing. However, those basic cage structures like that, a lot of people run them, but they always look, I don't know how to explain it. They look like a wish cage. It looks like you've just cheaped out on it. They look light, they look flimsy. I guess, you know, as much as I don't want to be, I guess I am influenced, you know, by a lot of the online chatter about, you know, what's your life worth, blah, blah, blah. You know, is your life worth an extra 2 kilo tube, whatever. So Again, it's more of a visual thing. Like those cages that are like full of bars in like time attack cars, they look really nice. Do you need it all? No, this car's not heavy. It's not fast. You know, but okay. So I've got that tube moved up now. You can see where it was and where it is. It could have gone up a little bit higher, but I'm starting to get pretty close to the seat now, and it doesn't need to. It hasn't made a heck of a lot of difference to this pillar bar. It's gone from there to there, which is, you know, not a lot. That's my absolute maximum. I'm probably going to bring it up a fraction higher. And now I'm just sort of mocking up for roof bars. So this string here represents the bottom of the roof bar. That string over there represents the top of the roof bar. So it's not too bad towards my helmet here. Like I'm going to have padding on it. That's just a given. My helmet only comes to just below the level of the seat. So my helmet's here. So I'm a good 170, 180 mil away. But as you can see by the string there, I do actually have a little bit to go up to the roof. So I can actually put a kink in this bar, maybe right here, and push it up even further. So that's about another 30 odd mil. And I think that's probably what I'm going to go with. So obviously I have decided to go with roof bars. I don't know why, but I just am. It's, as I said, as I was sort of mumbling earlier, my original vision for the car was to have a roof bar and a pillar bar, and that's what I'm going to go with. I'm just going to stick with the original plan because it's what I thought about. It's what I had in my head. If I change it now, I'm probably going to regret it. So this is what we're going with. So I'll get a measurement of that. Now, this is going to be a complex bar. If you've ever done this sort of work with trying to put 45s in between two parallels, you'll know how difficult it is. Slight variations in length will mean that your bar will not sit how you want. Now, I've only got two to make symmetrical, so it's not, you know, not as bad, but it is pretty bad. So I've marked my center point there. So my bars are going to kiss at that point. However, where they hit out here, I've got a fair bit of play. Obviously I want it to be pretty close to this bar, but it can come all the way out to here. And the further out I go, the higher up it goes. So there's benefits to both. Out here I get better triangulation. Up here I get higher away from me. So it's 6 of 1 as to whether I go down here or up here with the bar. So I'll cut it a little bit short. Where it lands, and then I'll just make the two identical when I cut them. That way when I weld them in, they should weld in symmetrically. And I have plenty of room over that tube there to get a weld. And this one here is going to come down a long way. If I've got to get a weld in over this one, I've got to get a weld in there. So, because obviously, you know, we have to plan ahead for that. So I'm not going to have a drama there. Once I get this one in, and my pillar bars cut, actually I need my door bars before I get my pillar bars. My pillar bar is going to land here, which means that I can get a weld all the way around it. And it's going to land way down there, which means I can't weld that foot in yet. So I think after we get the roof bars, I think we'll do door bars because they're going to be the next thing that I need. So let's get this in, then we'll move on.